I was looking at a couple of videos and your videos popped up regarding variations and all.
When they have variations, let's just take an example with 5 variations. They think that what we do is when we think of variation listings, we think of 2 kind of types of campaigns.
So, what is your PPC strategy when it comes to variation listing? Hello, everyone. Welcome. Now, today I have Lucas with me, founder of Nomads with a Z. Lucas, how are you?
I'm doing well, Sammy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining with us.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here again. I know Q4 is coming up, so it's the perfect time to talk about some PPC stuff right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I was looking at a couple of videos and your videos popped up regarding variations and all. Okay. So I kind of want to start with the complex stuffs first.
Okay.
So the sales are going to start. In India, the sales already started. It is going to continue. A lot of our clients, they're talking about variations. They want to know that which product, which child they want to launch, or they want to focus on their ads. So clearly, if it becomes very easier if that parent or the all the child variation have a good data, but it becomes hard when they don't have any data. So what is your PPC strategy when it comes to variation listing?
Got it. Yep. One of the most common questions, and I think one of the easiest reasons why people can overspend on PPC is because when they have variations, let's just take an example with 5 variations. They think that every single one of those variations needs to be spending because they're all their own kind of product, right? But I think people who have tried that have seen the hard way that actually you have a bestseller for a reason. So people launch variation products. You can go in your data and 9 times out of 10, 1 or 2 of your variations is making up the majority of sales. So 1 or 2 of those should be making up the majority of spend. And it really is that simple. So to get a little deeper on this actual strategy, what we do is when we think of variation listings, we think of 2 kind of types of campaigns. The one campaign, let's use men's shoes as an example. When men are typing for shoes, they're either going to get very broad with it or very specific. So for the very broad keywords, the high volume keywords, expensive ones that cost a lot, you only want to advertise your best sellers. So that's the keyword like men's shoes, right? You don't want your weird colors or weird sizes showing up for that. Take your best seller, advertise it for the best keywords. But then in separate campaigns for the long tail keywords, you want to break out your keywords like men's red shoes size 12. So for all of your red shoes, you put them in their own red campaign. For all of your size 12 shoes that don't sell a lot, but still get search volume, you put them in their own campaign. You don't group them with the high volume keywords, but you separate them. And that way you can keep those 2 separate and track them differently.
Okay, that was a great explanation. And should we also consider doing keyword research entirely for all the variations separately?
Yeah, so you should, especially with Amazon's new search query performance tab, right? I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that, and that will give you specific keywords on each child ASIN. And when you do that, you kind of see of the example I was just talking about. Your best sellers will be ranking on those high volume keywords, so keep pushing them. Your lower sellers will be ranking on keywords that will be lower volume. And so you want to know exactly what those long tail keywords are so you can constantly be updating the SEO, be getting new ideas for new variations. So for sure, you want to have a keyword list for each child ASIN, but not necessarily spend a crazy amount on each of them.
Okay, got it. Now we know that when it comes to variations and products in parentage, no matter what we do, when we search the keyword, only one particular child is going to show up. But the thing is completely different when it comes to ads. So how do you structure the defense campaigns for this parentage products, the products were linked in the parents?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And We'll tell you it's as PPC managers, that's one of our hardest problems to deal with is that overlap of ads, right? Because so first off, we want to think of it with different placements because not only we're talking about sponsored products, we have headlines, we have videos. So we've actually seen recently where a lot of times if our clients have the top ad placement, and this is our goal as an agency, is to get the top ad placement for a headline, a sponsored product, and a video. And then all of a sudden you're going crazy in front of a customer with this one keyword. So that's how you want to think of it in one way, is make sure that if you want to get coverage on multiple ads, you're using all of the opportunities that you have. Now, as far as sponsored products, which I think is probably what we're talking about here, is you want to pick and choose. So not only do you want to look at the keyword reports for what keywords are working well, but then you want to pull an advertised product report. And a lot of people in their ad groups are going to have multiple ASIN grouped together. So first you want to look at the keywords, what keywords are converting well, but then you want to see if you have an ad group with 5 ASIN. I'm sure that there's one ASIN that's outperforming the others. So you never want to hold on to an underperforming ASIN for too long, and just make sure that you're keeping the one, A, with the highest click-through rate, and B, with the highest conversion rate. Those are the two most important things when looking at variation PPC: click-through rate and conversion rate. Regardless of ACOS, you want to look at those two things.
Okay. And what is your thoughts on search term impression share report? How do you think that, what I think is a lot of sellers are missing those reports. What is your thought on that?
Yeah. And that's what we've been diving into lately, is that impression share is, I think, something that first off hasn't really been available to a lot of sellers up to this point. So they haven't really thought about it. And think of it as a pie chart, right? So when you're getting that impression share, especially on a variation listing, think of them each separately. So again, you're going to have each child is going to have a different impression share, but you can't overlap them too much. So that's my example of going back to those long tail keywords. Keep the lower volume ones separate from the best sellers, so they're not overlapping too much with keywords.
Okay. Now let's just move a little bit from the variations part. When it comes to ads, sponsored ads, then sponsored brands, then brand video ads, display ads, all this, how do you structure? How do you differentiate the spending, the budget structuring? How do you do that?
Yeah. So we got to remember that sponsored products is the core of ads. There's all these new flashy ads, even, DSP, sponsored display. There's all of these new options that when they come out, sellers and agencies want to spend on them because they're new. But you always have to go back to the core and the basics. And so for a lot of our accounts, we always see when things are very healthy, tacos is healthy, sponsored products is still making up at least 80% of the spend. And it's going back to that 80-20 rule. So we have some and probably the second highest area there would be video ads, right? Because everyone's pushing video, everyone likes that creative. So we have sponsored products making up the bulk, video ads then making up the rest, and then sponsored display is always making up maybe 5%. Because sponsored display it's a top of funnel advertising, just like DSP is. So if you put too much of your spend into sponsored display or into DSP, you're taking spend away from the bottom of the funnel that's converting for you, that's helping grow. So always try to break it out and remember that you want to keep the core of the ads spending where they're doing the most work for you.
Okay. So in our agency, what we have observed is 90% of the brands that we are seeing, there's one placement that we always want to target, but there is no option that we can target. Okay. And when the bids are kept low, that placement turns out to be the most profitable. I think you have guessed it because you have a couple of videos on that placement, particularly rest of search.
Yeah.
So do you have figured out any way to just focus the campaign on that placement?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I can tell you've been watching my videos because I think I just covered something on that. So that is a lot of what we want to dive into, right? Is the first thing we're always looking at is spend. So just like, I mean, you know, how you've been asking me questions, and it's spend. It's okay. What type of campaigns are you spending? What ASINs are you spending on? And the third part of spend is where are your ads showing up? So especially for sponsored products, if any of you watching this haven't pulled a placement report, go ahead and do that. It's in the same spot you're going to find the search term report, and there's a placement report. And you can see very clearly what percentage of spend and sales you're getting from top of search, product pages, and rest of search. And exactly, Sammy, that's where and we know we can influence top of search and product pages. So we can put on multipliers and fine tune those to only get ads to show up there. For rest of search, and you're right, a lot of sellers, they think that, oh, if I'm not converting at top of search, I'm never going to grow, right? Like it's either that or nothing. But if you're in a competitive category, if you have a monster in your category that you know you're never going to overtake, rest of search is a totally fine place to be. You just have to kind of accept that. So to kind of get to your question eventually is the only way we've seen to get to rest of search is, up and down bidding is probably the quickest way to get there, right? Because up and down bidding is, they define it as Amazon will raise your bids by 100% if you're more likely to convert to a sale. So if you turn on up and down bidding with no placements in top of search or product pages, then Amazon will slowly start to see, okay, you convert very well at rest of search, and they will keep adding in that multiplier to get you to keep your ads showing up there.
Wow, that was a great explanation. I mean, everyone should note this thing out. So Q4 is just near us. So what would be your 2 tips for sellers and brands who are going to take this Q4 as a big challenge?
Yeah. So 2 tips for Q4. I want to keep it spend related. So one, and it's going to be more of a mantra, right? Is be patient. So right now, especially, we've got we're doing this in October. We've got the deals day that Amazon just released. That's coming up in October, and newer sellers, even experienced sellers, a lot of times in the holiday season, they forget that there's a lot of ups and downs. So customers are waiting to buy right now. They're waiting to see the deals. They're saving money for the holidays. So the worst thing that you can do is overspend before the holidays. Look at last year's data, right? Look at when these drop in conversion rates and spikes in ACOS are happening. Set hard budgets if you are tight on spend, and wait for that traffic to come. So I think that would be my first thing, is be patient, look at the trends, and remember how you shop as an individual, right? Not many people are buying stuff right now because they're waiting for the holidays. As far as the second tip for the holidays, I would say stick to what's working. So what kills us is when a lot of brands, there's a deal day coming up, and Amazon's sending you all these spam emails. Hey, try this new campaign, try this new feature. And just like we were talking about, people will create new campaigns that take spend away from sponsored products and sponsored video. And all of a sudden they have a bad holiday because they're spending in the wrong place. So this is not the time to try new strategies. Stick to what's working, increase spend on your current campaigns because they work for a reason. And sure, put a little bit of spend into research campaigns and gift keywords and all of that fun stuff. But don't go crazy with it, and rely on your evergreen campaigns that have been working for years.
Yeah, stick to what it is working. I mean, I'm 100% agreeing on that, because what I have seen is maximum sellers, for them, branded keywords always works good with giving good ACOS.
Yeah.
And what sellers takes for granted is they takes those keywords for granted that it is working fine. Let's keep the focus aside. Also, they take granted for the keywords which they're ranked organically now in the first page. They don't focus on them. So what we suggest for our clients is, let's put some omnipresent strategy there, where we make sure for those keywords which are relevant, that means we have got conversion in the past 90 days, and in which we are organically ranked in the first page. We make sure there's a headline search ad with the custom image and the top. then the sponsored listing should be there, sponsored ads, then the organic will obviously be there, and the video ads, since it takes a really big your space in the search result. So that is what we suggested to our clients, and we are also doing that. That is helping really good, because there will be not so many keywords that will spend a lot, because ultimately you're ranked organically, your ACOS will not be high. Again, the same for the branded keywords as well. So that is one tip that I would add to it. And moving forward, what would be your suggestion on creating some brand defense campaigns for this Q4?
Yeah, that's huge. So I think brand defense is getting more important because as bigger and bigger brands are seeing the opportunities in Amazon, they're moving over there. And we've done this. I can tell you, we just signed a massive client with so much brand recognition, and they were only bidding on non-branded keywords because they didn't think about it. So especially during the holidays, if you think about it, if you're running promos on Google and Facebook and pumping stuff to your audience, most customers now, when they open up for shopping, they start their journey on Amazon. And if you're funneling Facebook ads to them and they've seen that, they're going to go to Amazon and type in your brand name. If they don't see you first thing, you have a good chance to lose that customer right away. So we've seen, especially recently, one of the most important brand defensive ads is headline ads, because we all know it's the first thing that pops up, and so many people forget about it. And your competitor will see it. They'll put a really cool creative up. They'll bid on your brand name. Then all of a sudden they stole your customer. So brand headline ads, sponsored products, and video, you need to be controlling your brand. And then secondly, the second part of that is bidding on your own ASIN, right? So that's if you have a large catalog and you have 30 products, especially on your bestseller, you have to have sponsored product ASIN targeting and sponsored display ASIN targeting. So that when a customer goes to your page, they see your A+ content, and then under that, they see all of your other ASIN as advertisements. But people are like, oh, but then I have to pay for that click. That's fine. You have to defend your listing, or else other competitors are going to take those spots.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great explanation. So let's move on a little bit and let's talk about what is Nomads. What are you doing in that?
Yeah, so we are a very hands-on PPC agency. So I was lucky enough to find a lot of other team members who are running some of their own small PPC agencies, and now we're all under one roof. So we're people from all around the world, right? That's kind of where the name comes from. We've got a large team, and we're very careful with the brands that we do take on. We work with much larger sellers that are at more of a plateau, and we're working with them on those more advanced strategies to get them to think outside the box. So maybe sales are stale or they haven't been able to grow. We want to come in, implement some of these more hands-on advanced strategies to get them to the next level and continually grow with them. But then on the other hand, we know, just like, the conversation we're having here, there's so many smaller sellers out there. So that's why I'm constantly putting out YouTube videos and content for free for those smaller sellers to learn and hopefully come up with some of these more advanced strategies on their own as well.
So what do you think, at what stage or what point should a brand think about hiring an agency?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And that's why we have no problem saying no to people. And I can tell you that we do get a lot of leads, and we tell people, hey, either it's going to be tricky for us to help us because of where you're at, or we think you can, do this a little more yourself. So what I think is a really good indicator is if your brand is growing and then all of a sudden you wake up every day and you as a brand owner are putting all of your time into PPC, and you know that there's other areas of your business like SEO, like other marketplaces, right? Whether it's other countries or Shopify or Walmart, or there's new products that you're not launching because you're spending your time on PPC. That's when it's worth it to pay an agency. And sure that they're going to cost a lot, but that immediate ROI that you're going to see from them and the time saving you're going to see from hiring an agency is going to help you for years to come.
Well, that was, I mean, well justified answer. You have already shared a lot of insights that sellers are going to use those, and it will be really valuable for this coming Q4. I mean, we're already coming to end. I'll just have one question, okay, and then we can move forward.
Sure.
So, what do you think the most important report that sellers are missing out, based on your experience, that they should download and check?
Most important report. So I would say if you haven't locked into that search query performance page on brand analytics, that is by far the newest report that has different data in there. And it's not necessarily downloadable, right? But there's easy ways that you can extract that data. So go to brand analytics, go to that new page, and like you were talking about, that search term impression share, search query performance, all of that stuff is real data from Amazon that we've recently had to get from third-party sources. And now it is so relevant and you can take actionable steps on it right away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sellers already know about search term report and all those kind of thing. Lately, what we are doing is, in order to make the client understand what is their potential, we just combine search term report and search term impression share report for those relevant keywords in pivot table, and try to show them how much they can grow, what their conversion rate is, how much impressions are available in the market for that. So I think those are the few reports that are really important, and sellers are missing out on downloading those. So all the sellers and brands who are listening, you should go and check it out before Q4 hits. Make sure you get those new keywords to try in the new campaigns. Okay, so we're already reaching out to the end. What do you want to say to our audience?
So I would just say, again, be patient. And also take in as much data as you can, right? But always take it with a grain of salt. There's a lot of stuff out there. And that's why I know, Sam, you're doing a great job of like reaching out to all the experts in the field. But if you guys are hearing a strategy or something by an expert, like someone, test it out first, right? Don't go crazy with the new strategy on your account, especially at this time of year. See if it works for you, and then slowly ramp it up from there.
Yeah, I mean, that was a valuable information. So, Lucas, thank you so much for coming and sharing this valuable nuggets with us. We'll again discuss on a later topic and more advanced topic after the Q4 by seeing the results and all. So we'll come up with more strategies, and we'll have Lucas again with us. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you so much for coming and joining and sharing the knowledge with us.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amy.